How about we go to the Caribbean?
Tie down some anchors.
Movies. The average person can be inspired by them. They can make us laugh. Movies can keep us on the edge of our seat, and so much more. Maddie's Movie Mix is a podcast for movie enthusiasts of all kinds. We hope you enjoy the show.
There's always room.
Pirates probably would have a hard time keeping ice cream.
That's true, especially these pirates.
Yeah.
If you were a pirate, though, what pirate would you be? I was thinking about that watching the film.
Like, are we talking about what? So we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Not
what
the
pirate
caramel.
would you be?
I like to think I'd be Gibbs.
Gibbs?
Yeah. He's like a good secondhand man, like super loyal, but he has like a strong, like, he's pretty smart.
Yeah.
So he's not just like your typical followers just following because that's what he does. He's loyal. He has the smarts. He understands the responsibilities, and he takes the action because in this film, even Jack's left on the island or wherever.
Right.
And he was like, Pirates Code, we got to go.
Yep.
So I like to think myself as Gibbs.
Gibbs? Okay.
Jack Sparrow would be a close second just because he's absolutely senile.
He is senile.
But yet he has
I
the
can
smarts.
relate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate to Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
I feel like we're one and the same. We're both senile.
That's right. You got to start getting those mannerisms.
Right, I know. That would be. I wonder how hard that would be to do. Like, he seemed to be like natural at that, though.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was It was an act. It was forced of any.
No, I mean it was 100% believable.
Yeah, and it holds up.
Yeah,
it was 10 years ago.
More than 10.
Sorry, I'm starting to act like you now.
I know. I told you, time is a concept.
20 years ago already.
Well, not quite that much. 19. Don't over exaggerate.
They were filming it.
Okay, there we go. We got our middle ground.
Yes. You were young when this came out. Did you watch this and get?
I think so.
Yeah,
I was 9.
Because my kids loved it.
Well, what amazes me, it's a Disney film.
Right.
But it's pretty dark.
It is pretty dark, and it was one of those things, too, like, they were a little older, 10,
right.
11, 12, but
I mean, I don't know. My concept of Disney was always like, I mean, okay, if you look at the Grimm's tales of the stories of like Cinderella and stuff,
yeah,
it's dark. But the way it was told was positive.
Right.
And they didn't really show the negative besides the...
And they were bright.
Right.
Like, the cartoons were super bright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had, at this point, never been to Disney, so I didn't know the ride it was based off
Have you been to Disney now?
I have.
Okay.
We went my freshman year of college with my parents.
Okay.
I prefer Universal. I'll put that on the record.
Except
Except now they got Star Wars. Never mind.
I know.
Never mind. You got Star Wars versus Harry Potter is really the two fandoms going at each other.
Right.
And the Hulk. So you got Marvel in there. It's a mess.
It's hard to know what to do.
We saw the Blue Man Group.
Oh, at Disney?
No, we went to Universal.
Oh, Universal. Okay, yeah. The Blue Man Group is really fun.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
They give you little ponchos when you go in.
Yeah.
So you know you're going to have a good time.
That's right. I would love to see them again. Do they still do it?
I would assume so.
Yeah. They got to be old, though.
Well, I think there's... Is it a group? Is there multiple Blue Man Group, or is there just one? That's what I was thinking. I think there's
got to be. They say there's not.
And they all look the same. But that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
except they're real.
Yeah. But anyway, did you go to the
when Pirates? When I was here, I went. I remember going to the area.
Okay.
But I don't think I think we might have gone on the ride, but I can't really remember it.
Yeah. I kind of remember it when I was really young.
Yeah.
But I was at Disney again when I was a little bit older.
Yeah.
So.
And I definitely would have been there because it would have been probably 2013 that we would have gone.
Yeah.
But I can't remember it. Not as much as the other ride that is super annoying. The one that always gets made fun of.
The space one?
No. It's Is it Teacups? It's going to come to me.
Okay.
And when it does, oh gosh.
When it does, duck.
Yeah. Duck, duck, and cover. Keira Knightley was only 17.
No way. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
I thought
I could tell what your response was.
No, I'm looking. I don't have it down. No.
She was, yeah. I can't remember if it was when the film got done she was 17 or during production she was
Really?
17, but she was young.
That is, wow.
And she didn't look young in the film.
She didn't. She really didn't. No.
I would have guessed 20s.
Yes.
Like early, like 2021 if I were to.
I'd say mid-20s personally.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I think that's kind of what they were So they said it was an 8-year difference, right?
Yeah.
So if they were 12, I mean, it looked like they were a good 12, 13 right at the beginning of the film.
Right.
So that would,
Put
early
20,
20s.
yeah.
Yeah, 2021. But yeah, so I would have guessed.
2022.
Oh, yeah. Write that down.
I thought that was
Jerry
crazy.
Bruckheimer, though, I mean, he always brings it. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking that when they started talking about this coming out, I'm like, oh, good, he's involved.
Yeah.
It's going to be epic.
Yeah.
They're not going to hold anything back. This is going to be, and it holds up today.
It does.
For me.
What's crazy to me when I was doing the research was there were a lot of barriers to get this thing fully greenlit.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because, why? Did they think they couldn't do it?
Well, there was a lot of people in consideration before Johnny Depp was eventually cast as
Sure.
Jack Sparrow. There was Robert De Niro was one of them. I can't remember who
what?
else. Yeah, I thought that one was weird. He didn't want to do it because movies based off of pirates rarely do well.
Sure.
I can't remember if the Muppets Treasure Island had come out at that point. I'm assuming it had.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's the only other pirate reference film I have is Muppets. So,
Sure.
but that was his thought process. There just haven't been a lot of great pirate films, so he thought this movie was going to be a bust.
Okay. That does not seem like that's a good fit anyway.
Well, I also remember going into it that Jack Sparrow's character wasn't supposed to be as big as it was.
That sounds familiar too, like in the storyline from
Right.
Yeah.
So I think if you take that into consideration as well, if thinking about it, that the focus I would assume then would be on Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann being the main focus rather than Jack Sparrow, I could see where that could potentially get put in place.
Yeah.
But if you look at it now, it's definitely reversed. Jack Sparrow is the forefront, and then it's Elizabeth and Will.
Yeah. And I think that was smart.
Yeah.
Because they did cast Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know in what relationship they did that. If they did Johnny Depp and then rewrote the script or
Right.
or whatever, but I think that's important that they gave that kind of room for that character because
It's a wonderful world.
It is a wonderful world.
That's the ride.
Oh,
It's a wonderful world.
Sure.
Sorry.
No,
I told
there
you
go.
it would come, and when it did,
is.
it would go full bloom. So, just like Orlando Bloom. All right, we're back.
Boom.
I was stuck, and it came out, and I'm content where I'm at right now.
Well, Orlando Bloom, obviously, he was in the middle of another epic series.
Yeah.
Can you call that epic?
It
was, I don't know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings or something.
It's just minor.
So he was big, right then. He was the hot actor. I mean, Johnny
and many
was
women
obviously-
thought that too.
Right. A lot of women thought that.
Yeah.
Most probably.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
But Johnny Depp, he's pretty dreamy too.
Dude, he is a chameleon.
So I think about that, how good of a character actor he is. I think about that. who knows who he actually is,
That's my thought process.
right? Like, who is Johnny Depp?
I remember watching.
Like, as a friend of his, as you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, who is he?
Yeah. Or does he just like playing different characters,
Right.
and he just morphs into them as they come?
I think he's got to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It amazes me, and to be a friend of that, like, how do you?
Yeah. It's weird. But anyway, the actors are big,
Geoffrey Rush.
yeah, I'm glad that they had him as Barbossa.
Yep.
Keira Knightley, what was she in at the time?
I can't remember.
I think she was pretty new.
Yeah.
I
I didn't
looked
have a
that
lot
up,
of her
but-
history.
No, I didn't either.
Zoe Saldana.
Yep. And then Ian. No, wrong one. Where is he?
Where's Waldo?
He's
He's not behind the bushes.
I had it.
He's not in the school bus.
The dad.
Oh, Governor
The governor.
Jonathan Price.
I don't have his name down here.
That's
Yeah.
who I had. As
Okay.
the
Probably. Yeah. He was big at the time, pretty big, recognizable at least.
Yeah.
So they definitely wanted to make sure that this had a really
Good
good
cast.
shot at
Yeah.
being successful.
Right.
They wanted like different genres or different ages of people
Right.
to all watch this genre.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to make sure that all age groups were covered.
Right.
That was cool.
And they did it well.
Yeah.
Again, like going into this, it's weird that it was made by Disney to me. I mean, again, it was
expand
really,
on that.
it was
Yeah,
just
you
really
were
good,
saying that.
but it's a darker film. And I remember as a kid at Disney, you got the Disney Channel. It's like all these lighthearted. A lot of them are just comedies. They're kids. Disney's also had the ability to be able to tie in adult humor into kids' movies. But again, usually the movies are pretty light in themselves. Not much depth in the story.
Yeah.
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
But this movie is pretty dark. I mean, you got people like cutting their hand as sacrifices for the medallions. You got, people not being able to die because in the moonlight there's skeletons. Like
Yep.
that's creepy.
Yep. And they have there was the one scene where they're getting onto the ship and they're cutting throats. They
Yeah.
don't really show it, but there's the sound effects and things. Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
It is.
Even the idea of like tossing around Elizabeth, you exploited parlay. Now we're going to exploit. I mean, that's again like that's
yes,
a
good
deep
point.
topic.
Yeah.
Again, that all those things surprised me for this movie because I don't remember a ton about it, but it's pirates, it's Disney, like it should be a fun kids movie, but like I would assume my parents probably looked in pretty cautious going into it.
Yeah. Well, I think that definitely, personally, I think you get to be 11 and 12
Right.
for sure. You're all right.
Right.
I mean, it's explainable and it's not graphic.
Yeah.
It's dark, like
Right.
you say, but not graphic. So
Exactly.
that makes a nice difference too. But yeah, it was definitely it was a test.
Yeah.
And
It
it passed.
blew it out of the water.
Totally. Talk about the budget.
So I have 140 million, which I thought was pretty big. I wasn't expecting for 2003.
Yeah, and think about that. We talk about this actually often because we've reviewed movies of this time too. 99 was Titanic.
Right.
So this is only a few years after that.
Yeah.
And that they did 120 million-ish. And
Yeah.
they're like freaking out about it.
Right.
And now all of a sudden all these movies are like
just
yeah.
booming for their
Yep.
budget. So I think that was when I watched this one, I did research a little bit beforehand before I watched the movie again for my 18th time watching Pirates. And I was like, it makes sense when I start thinking, because I think a lot of it was on location, But yeah, so I mean, when I started thinking about those set locations, like those ships were pretty detailed. I mean, I really liked the forts and the forts and ports of like all the different places they were going to. And so I think, and then you look at also the actors that were cast into it, and all kind of started made sense of the 140 million budget. But again, that's a risk going into it. But it paid off.
For sure.
654.3 million is what I have for the gross, which is a lot of money.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it started a franchise.
It's right. It started a franchise. It's all about volume too, isn't it? Like everybody had to go see this.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, I remember that too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. It was so much fun.
Yeah. So big actors.
Big actors.
How do you think they did together? How do you think their chemistry was?
I really liked Jack and Barbossa's dynamic together.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Barbossa named his monkey after Jack.
Yeah.
I was like, that's just a neat little touch.
Yeah.
Like, obviously not necessary at all, but like, I was talking to the monkey.
Right.
Like, that's just so much fun.
Yeah.
That banter.
Yeah.
And I liked how they kind of did the dynamics that Elizabeth and Jack were very similar. Because again, you don't like, she was a polite lady, like not something you'd think going into this film. But then they don't make. I remember when they're on the ship of like, how do we get away from the Black Pearl?
Yeah.
And like, let's toss everything off or like overboard. That's crazy. Sounds just like something Jack would do. Let's do it.
Right.
And so it's like,
yeah.
It's fun that Jack is played as this crazy character like that. I mean, one of the quotes again, when they were under the boat, when they were trying to get the interceptor of like, he said, "This is either madness or pure brilliance." And then Jack was like, "It is remarkable how often those two things coincide."
Right.
And so I think it was cool because Jack definitely teetered on that line constantly. And it was fun seeing Elizabeth like now being able to be outside of her fortress and be able to be more of who she is.
Yeah.
To be also make those decisions and just have that character.
Yeah. I think that all the support cast as well, I thought did a great job.
I love Gibbs.
Yeah. And I mean, all of the different, the way they fit it all together, I mean, that definitely is a very good director.
Yeah.
The way that they just had the cast.
And clear direction.
Think of some of the opening scenes and stuff, and all of a sudden there's a lot of different people they're attacking,
and there's different people, but they also, it's fun because Gibbs was in the opening scene where taking care of Elizabeth of like, it's a pirate's tale, like stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you see him actually be a pirate. So
right.
You see the two, I don't know their names, the Navy officers.
Yeah.
They show up constantly throughout the film. The guy who loses his eye and the guy that gets shot. So it's cool to me that there's a lot of characters in it, but there's also, they go back to them. They they don't just forget about them. Like those two naval officers could have been easily forgotten about after that first scene and this done with somebody else.
Right. They weren't like the Star Trek red coats
the
or
red
whatever. Kill them off.
He's a goner.
I have for actor chemistry, I have a 4.3.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.4. The only person I really didn't like was Will.
Really?
Yeah, well, I don't know what it was. I liked the fight scene between him and Jack.
Yeah.
At the beginning, but I don't know.
So do you think when I watched it, I was thinking like he was awkward.
Yeah.
But wasn't that part of it? Like
it could have been.
I mean, I could see where you could go either way, though.
Yeah.
I mean, where it was part of it, it wasn't part of it. It was just his acting wasn't very good.
Right.
I took it as though like it was
just
part
of
it.
his character.
Yeah, like this is his character.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
I don't know. For me, it was hard because he was like, I make these swords. And like he was to me, like a stoic character.
Yeah.
But there were times where that didn't always match throughout the film. And there could have been the chance that like he legitimately for his whole life made swords as an apprentice. And so once you actually get out onto the ship and stuff like that, like he's not going to have that experience. So I could see where like those kind of stutters in his character would exist because he just didn't have the experience.
Yeah.
But it was also hard because of how he was built up initially.
Yeah.
I love the Caribbean.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh. We did a Caribbean cruise. Place I've been to, the Caribbean. I guess I've been to more places than what I give myself credit for.
Yeah.
We did a Caribbean cruise, and it was one of my favorite vacations. It's the same time we went to Disney. We did.
Okay, nice.
We didn't do a lot of family vacations, but we did a big one. And
Sure.
so we did a week at Disney, and we did a Caribbean cruise.
Nice.
Even in high school, I much preferred the Caribbean cruise than
Really?
Disney. Disney was fun to make the characters. Alice was my favorite because she was like loose in the head, and I was like, I can resonate with this. I also have weird quirks. I had this little chipmunk named Steve, and so that's a whole different topic.
Focus. Focus.
The Caribbean cruise was my favorite. I love visiting. We went to Jamaica,
Nice.
the Bahamas, and it's just gorgeous. And
I've
this
never
film,
done a cruise, and I'd like to.
it's phenomenal. It's my favorite part is you get to travel and see new islands, but you also have days where you're more, I guess, forced to rest because you're at sea.
Yeah.
And so you can read, you can just lay out. I had a lot of Arnie Palmers. It was fantastic.
Nice.
But I love the Caribbean. It's a fun location to do things, and I thought they shot it really well.
They did, yeah. I didn't give it quite as high a score, just simply because I think it was a little bit some cliche stuff, I guess. I don't know. The really blue water, and
It is blue water.
It is, and I don't know. There was a few things that just kind of rubbed me a little bit like this is too easy.
Yeah.
I guess. But I love the locations, but I gave it a 4.4.
Okay.
Just simply because there was a few. Well, one of that they kept coming back to was, I guess I'm not sure what you'd call it, but up on the cliff where they kind of had, they trapped Johnny Depp, Sparrow, and Will at the end of the film. But at the beginning of the film, she fell off of the cliff.
Yeah, that was a death sentence.
Yeah,
there was rocks.
And right.
Did
and
you?
So,
if you were to look at that
some
scene,
of those things, I'm like, that just is too cliche. Too
is that
easy.
cinematography though? How is
no?
Okay,
No,
I guess
I
I was just more. I was getting
of,
more focused on she should have died.
Yeah, but that's a location.
You're more focused on
so they
the,
kept. Yeah. They kept coming back to that location, and it kind of they tried to make it serve a few different purposes, and I guess I just didn't like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was okay, but that's why it wasn't, because the locations are cool. Yeah, for sure. But some of those little things like that just brought that score down for me.
And 4.4 is still great.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a B+.
For sure.
I gave it a 4.5, so an A-.
Yeah.
I again just really enjoyed I love the blue waters. I love the boats just sailing at sea. I like the ships themselves, and I think that's more. It's not filming locations, but it's really not costume design. But I want to give it credit to filming.
We've called that like it's a location. If they
because they're on the boats.
Yeah. I mean, that's a location. To me, that's what I would label it.
And I liked the Interceptor was the bright blues and yellows. The Black Pearl was black. Name fitting. And so that's the things I really enjoyed. I like the forts and the ports, like I said earlier as well.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about the highlights that I enjoyed about the cinematography.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool when the medallion hit the water.
Yes.
And
yes.
And then you saw the wind change, and seeing a lot of those things I thought was really cool. I really liked the fight scene with Jack, and the first fight scene with Jack and Will in the blacksmith's location, and the donkey got hit, and then all of a sudden you get a lot of these moving parts going on.
Yep.
Which I thought was really cool. And the other small detail that I kind of enjoyed was that the camera kind of rocked with the boat. So when it was a shot on the boat, boats like that don't rock quickly. It was like a slow and gentle, and so I thought it was cool that you could kind of see that wave.
Sure.
Unless you get seasick, and I could see that would be a negative thing.
Yeah, see, I don't like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can be wrong.
Like Saving Private Ryan. Have you seen that?
It's been a while.
So I've only seen like a little bit of it here and there.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of camera work. I just don't like it.
Okay.
That moving, and I don't know. That's not how we see it as people.
Well, if you were standing there with them, you'd be rocking.
Yeah, but that's not how our brain
That's true.
works.
It's not natural.
Right.
I liked it. I thought it was a small detail.
It's a small
That they
detail.
didn't have to
I
do.
hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just
It was a choice.
Yeah.
And I thought the choice was good.
Yeah, I get it.
Other people will disagree, and they will be wrong. I thought the ship explosion was really cool, too, of when they were blowing up the interceptor when they were trying to run away. That was well done with how it was exploding. It made sense to me in my video game mind of like, that's exactly how it would happen.
In real life.
That's right. So I gave it a 4.4. I
Okay.
really liked what I saw.
Yeah. I gave it a 4.2. There was some scenes that I thought should have been a little bit filtered, maybe. Like some of the beach and stuff where they were on the beach. The fire was going in the background and things like that. I just feel like when the background looked really good to me, but then Jack was too bright and the sand was too bright, and I think they should have just filtered it down a little bit.
Did you know
There's
that?
a few things like that.
Did you know that he was wearing contacts during this whole thing? So
Oh,
he
yeah,
didn't
I
have to
could
wear
see him.
sunglasses.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I
So
see.
he didn't have to wear sunglasses, and he wouldn't have to squint as much.
Sure.
Is why he had those contacts.
I see. Yeah, I saw him all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I wear contacts. So
Contacts
you
freak
notice.
me out.
It's different.
Whenever I see somebody put in a contact, I'm like, this is not a natural process that's happening. Or removing them.
Yeah.
Can never be a doctor. That's what the world needs to know.
Yeah.
If you are exploding from the inside out, I'll call somebody else. You're SOL with me if I'm just standing there. Just hold the wound. Nope, you're dead.
Yep. It's
I'm
over.
sorry.
It's over.
Your insides are on your outsides. That's not the way things should be.
Yes. And yet you love video games.
Okay, I play games that blood and guts don't spill out.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
An occasional stabbing.
Yes.
And when people wear red coats back in the day, they wore them so that when they got stabbed, you wouldn't see the blood coming out.
Yes, I do. I remember hearing that. Or
There's my
reading it
transition
somewhere.
to costume design
That
and
was
video
beautiful.
games.
Beautiful. I like the costumes in this because, the pirates were all like raggedy, but they weren't all exactly the same, like a uniform.
Yeah, they're all raggy, but they all had their set apparel that you know who was who.
Yes, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Because it does stand out more.
Right.
Obviously, the soldiers are soldiers and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
they have their
there's
uniform.
Just nothing you can do with a uniform.
Yeah.
And I get that.
The joke when Elizabeth fell and they were just standing at the pier of like, are you going to save them?
Oh, yeah.
We don't know how to swim.
Right.
Great Navy patrol you guys are.
Exactly. I know that was perfect. So I gave it a 4.6 because they made sure and did a lot of neat things with the costumes. And,
They did.
And a lot of detail.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
they
was
were
happy
definitely
with
in
it.
depth.
Yeah.
The red dress sighting, I saw one.
Yeah.
And that was Elizabeth when she was more of, I guess you could consider it a maroon, but it's definitely a red.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, it counts.
the red dress.
It
And I
counts.
didn't count the uniforms because
No, you
They're
can't count
not.
the uniforms.
But going with those, I thought those were fun. British, it made sense to the time area and the story being told.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed like the beads in Jack's hair and just he was a unique character
Yeah.
in and of himself. I like the red bandana and everything else like that. And he had to have his hat.
I'll probably do like grow the beard out maybe and do something like the beads in the beard.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you
Well,
think?
in Christmas time, you can get the ornaments.
Yeah, we
I
could
got
do
those
that.
as a stocking stuffer 1 year. Did you know that the West India trading, like when he pulled up the sleeve to see that, oh, I can see you've had dealings with the West India Trading Company.
Yeah.
Normally that would be branded on the head, but it made sense for the film.
Oh,
that it would
really?
be on
No, I
the
didn't
arm.
know that.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. I was just researching for the fun of it. And so I'm not going to dock that because I thought for the film, like, it's not a historical film.
No.
It's not trying to base anything.
No.
So I just thought that was interesting looking at going into the set design and costume and stuff. So I gave it a 4.5. Going with your, I think there was nothing flashy in it.
Yeah.
But all the costumes made sense and they were unique.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
I love the score.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I wanted to review this
Yeah.
was because all of a sudden, da-da-dun-dun, 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 da-da-dun. I was like, crap, the pirates are coming.
You're not going to like my score, though.
No?
No.
What's bad about the score?
You're not going to like my score.
Is it 3.7?
Now you're uncomfortable.
I am
It's not a
uncomfortable.
It's not a 3.7. No, I'll just say it. It's a 4.0.
Okay.
And it's very good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not, but it's very predictable.
It's
And
very unique, so. It's predictable, but a lot of the sounds I don't hear.
And Hans Zimmer did it.
Well, it's him and Claus.
Well, yeah.
Badelt.
Right.
Badelt.
But
Badelt?
oh no,
It was Hans Zimmer, I think, had some influence in it.
he had influence in it.
But
Yeah.
he was
But
not
he
the
was
main
not the main
composer.
composer. Okay, yeah, I see. But
Don't be dissing my man hands.
No, and I like him. That's why I was like, because I put it down here and I'm like, oh no, he wasn't the main. Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, no.
7 points.
But when there's scenes coming up and the music starts, you're like, meh, okay.
It was very repetitive.
I'll
give it
and
that.
so I'm like, this isn't new.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I gave it a 4.0 is just simply because it's just a little predictable.
I have a lot of nostalgia to the song. My senior year, we had talked about this a little bit before.
Yeah.
So this song, when I was in high school, Pirates of the Caribbean was very popular. And so we played it a lot in band. And so we did the third film, and that movie starts out with this little kid singing. Mm-hmm. And so I said to my band director, like, would there be any way, I think it would be a lot of fun to someone sing a solo and have that part in the band.
Yeah.
I think it would add a lot of flavor. And so he was like, sure, if you learn it, we'll do it. We'll make it work. And I surprisingly did not do choir in high school. I love singing. I love humming. Music is always in my head. But I just didn't like the songs people chose in choir.
Are you sure they're not voices in your head?
Well, they're very
Singing?
similar.
Okay.
I can't differentiate the two. But that's okay. We're friends. The voices.
That's what counts.
Voices and I are, at least. And so I learned the song. We did it, and it was great. But I do remember there was this kid who was in choir from 5th to 12th grade. And let me tell you, we didn't do tryouts for the part.
Yeah.
Because I came up with the idea, and the band director said, if you take ownership of it, we can do it. I just got the parts with no great singing history in my background. And so we did that. It was a fun band concert. So the best part was I had that singing solo. We played the rest of the song. It was award night too, and I played tuba. And so what I had done was I had also shoved my footy pajamas inside my tuba. And so during the next song, I put on my footy pajamas. And then when I got awards, my band director didn't notice until he handed me mine. I was like, oh my gosh, Tyler, really? And then our senior prank is we all pulled out because Zeus and started playing pep band songs.
Okay.
So that's my history with the score and my understanding.
So you have an emotional attachment.
I do have an emotional attachment. And like I said, this song gets stuck in my head frequently. Like I also listen to Piano Guys a lot, and this one's
Sure.
a cover on a lot of them because it is a very catchy main theme. I can't agree that some of the rest of the music can be predictable or it's very repetitive.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even talk about the scene when Jack got introduced, which is a fun scene where all of a sudden you see a sinking ship and a man on the mast, and the ship is sinking, and perfectly timed as it's fully sunk, he steps onto the dock.
Yeah.
But that's where the first time you hear the So I thought it was a great introduction. I do agree they could have probably had more individual themes for each character and what was going on in the film, but I gave it 4.5. I really enjoyed 4.5.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And you have an emotional attachment to it, so it makes a difference.
It does.
I could probably watch this movie, I bet, every quarter.
Yeah.
And love it.
It's good.
It's
got
entertaining.
Humor. It's got
it's
a good story to be intrigued into.
And it seems like you always find those other new little nuanced pieces to characters every time you watch it.
Yeah.
At least I do.
And there's so many characters that you can catch those nuances for. Like, I probably remember the first time I watched this, I didn't realize Gibbs was the same person because he ages.
Sure.
And so I wasn't that bright as a kid. So I was like,
I'm still not that bright. So
that's why we have these lights that make us look bright.
Exactly.
So I agree. There's a lot of things you can just catch, and I forgot how long it was. It's like 2.5 hours, right? I didn't get the runtime.
I don't have it either. I don't think. No,
but it's at least 2 hours. I think it's on the
Oh
upper.
yeah, it's a
2.5.
solid 2.5, if not more.
So that surprised me.
Yeah,
and the movie kind of loops itself.
It does.
That was the only critique I really had. Is that the point where Elizabeth, we find out that obviously, I think that would have been a cooler surprise too. Like if it was somewhat in the dark that we didn't know Elizabeth wasn't a bloodline, I think that would have been a good shock, like a bigger shock of it was hard to do because obviously right away we knew Will Turner was the person found on the ship.
Right.
But I thought it too, if they would have cut that scene and then we would have had no idea that she wasn't, and you just done with first names up to that point.
Yeah, you could have definitely, that would have been a lot more intriguing.
Yeah. But at that point, we already know that person isn't who they say they are.
Yeah.
And but then it loops itself on the second half where it's basically the same story. So but again, I could watch it, and I think part of it's enjoyable partly because of that, because you could go do something, come back, and it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. So
yeah.
I gave it a 4.4.
Okay. 4.7.
Okay.
I just can watch it over and over.
Yeah. Pirate's Life for
not
you.
Over and over, but
Yeah.
All right. I still went with an emotional overall rating for this film. Just how it all balanced out for me. And that's a 4.4.
Yeah.
I think it's solid.
Yeah.
It holds up 20 years later.
There's just so many quotes too that you can just catch yourself saying Savi, or you're the worst pirate I've ever heard of, but you have heard of me. So it's just, he's so whether a lot
and he delivers it.
He does
perfectly.
Yeah. And then because they go back to it and he's like, man, Jack Sparrow is the best pirate I've ever seen. And he's like, apparently so. And so it's, everything ties together so well. And there's not a lot of times where something is said without repercussions of it having an impact later.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 4.5. Okay. Really good film.
Yeah. Nice. Sing us on out of here.
I actually don't remember any of the lyrics of the songs, even though I had to memorize it. So all I can do is da da dun dun da da dun dun da da dun dun da da dun.
There it is.
Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.